There is a strange and quietly astonishing fact about being human that we almost never pause to notice. It is this: you are born into a world that already has names. Before you know what you like, before you know what you fear, before you even have a stable sense of who you are, the world arrives to you through language. Objects are pointed at and named. Feelings are labeled. Behaviors are praised or discouraged. And slowly, without ceremony, you inherit a vocabulary that tells you what matters and what does not. And what's important to understand is that language does not arrive as a neutral tool. It arrives as a map. A map with borders already drawn, with warnings already written in the margins, with places marked safe, places marked dangerous, and places left completely blank. And once you accept the map, you begin to walk it. This is where the real question begins. Because if language is a map, then the map is not the territory, but the map determines where you are willing to go. Tonight, I want to explore that idea slowly, carefully, and practically. Not as mysticism, not as metaphor for its own sake, but as a lived, everyday reality. Because the words you use are quietly shaping the life you experience. Attention, the currency of reality. Your experienced reality is not everything that exists. It is everything you notice. This sounds obvious when you hear it, but it is profound when you live it. Two people can walk down the same street and experience entirely different worlds. One sees danger, threat, and hostility. Another sees opportunity, beauty, and curiosity. The street didn't change. The attention did. Attention is the currency of experience. Where attention goes, reality follows. And language is one of the most powerful technologies ever invented for directing attention. Words act like spotlights. They illuminate certain features of experience and leave others in shadow. When you call something a problem, your attention narrows. Your nervous system prepares for defense. You begin searching for blame or quick fixes. When you call the same thing a puzzle, your attention opens. Curiosity replaces tension. You begin looking for patterns instead of enemies. Nothing objective has changed, but everything subjective has. This is why language is not merely descriptive, it is physiological. Words affect breathing, they affect posture, they affect the chemical signals moving through the body, and those signals shape decisions. Decisions are how reality moves. Metaphors, the stories you live inside. Most people think they use metaphors occasionally. This is incorrect. You are living inside metaphors constantly. A metaphor is not decoration, it is compression. It is a way of carrying complex meaning quickly, without analysis. And because metaphors are fast, they bypass scrutiny. When you say you are drowning in work, your body responds as if danger is present. Heart rate increases, breath shortens, urgency spikes. The metaphor becomes a script, and the script becomes behavior. Now imagine replacing that metaphor. Instead of drowning, you are surfing waves. Now the situation contains rhythm, peaks and rests, timing instead of panic. Same workload, different story, different nervous system. Metaphors do not just describe situations, they define what solutions seem possible. If the economy is a machine, you look for mechanics. If the economy is an ecosystem, you look for balance. If the mind is a computer, you look for optimization. If the mind is a garden, you look for cultivation. Each metaphor opens some doors and closes others. And here's the key insight. You cannot solve a problem using tools your metaphor does not allow. Verbs. How futures are quietly chosen. Verbs are not passive grammar. They are choices disguised as language. When you say you want to fight a situation, you have already selected a future shaped by resistance. When you say you want to control a situation, you have selected rigidity as safety. When you say you want to fix something, you have declared it broken. But what if the situation is not broken? What if it is simply complex? Then perhaps the correct verb is not fight, but map. Mapping invites observation. It asks questions before taking action. Perhaps the correct verb is not control, but tend. Tending recognizes time, cycles, and care. Perhaps the correct verb is not fix, but prototype. Prototyping allows learning without shame. Each verb produces a different first step, and the first step determines the path. You can feel this in your body. Say, I need to fight this. Now say, I need to understand this. Notice the shift. Language is quietly constructing the future before you arrive there. Limits and honesty. What language cannot do. Now, we must be careful. Language is powerful, but it is not omnipotent. Words do not cancel gravity. They do not erase trauma. They do not replace sleep, money, or support. There is a modern temptation to treat reframing as a trick, a way to bypass reality instead of meeting it. That is not the work here. The purpose of working with language is not to become delusional. It is to become more functional. A useful reframe increases honesty and agency. A harmful reframe hides truth and delays action. If a new phrase makes you feel better but act worse, discard it. If a new phrase helps you act better while staying truthful, keep it. And remember, sometimes the correct response is not a better metaphor. Sometimes it is rest, or help, or boundaries. Language is a lever, but levers still require something solid to move. Practical experiments, testing the theory. So, instead of believing any of this, let's test it. I invite you to treat the next 6 days as a small field study. Experiment 1, the metaphor audit. For 2 days, write down 3 phrases you repeat when stressed. Do not judge them, simply collect them. Then create alternative metaphors that are true and workable. Not optimistic, not fake, workable. Run the replacements for 48 hours. Track 2 things. What decisions changed? What emotions softened or intensified? If the metaphor helps, keep it. If it doesn't, refine it. This is craftsmanship, not belief. Experiment 2. The verb swap. Choose one situation that feels stuck. For 2 days, replace your main verb with map. Mapping means listing unknowns, relationships, constraints. For the next 2 days, replace the verb with prototype. Prototyping means testing the smallest version possible. Observe how quickly you begin, how stressed you feel, and what you learn. The best verb is the one that produces movement without panic. Experiment 3. The salience filter. Before any important interaction, choose 3 signals to notice deliberately. For example, where am I guessing? Where am I resisting? Where am I curious? These become anchors for attention. At the end of the day, write what you noticed that you usually miss. This is perception training, and perception is the foundation of change. Closing. The sentence you live inside. So what have we learned? That language is not decoration layered on top of reality. It is part of the machinery by which reality is experienced. Names guide attention. Metaphors guide emotion. Verbs guide action. And action is how the world moves through you. You do not need to accept any grand theory to benefit from this. You only need to notice the sentences you live inside. Change one sentence this week. Observe what shifts. Because the most meaningful transformations rarely arrive as fireworks. They arrive as subtle changes in how you describe what is happening. And those changes quietly open doors you didn't know were closed.